Hey there, my name is Sam Lees, and in this episode, I want to talk to you about why Facebook isn't working for most of us out there. I had the pleasure just a couple of weeks ago at speaking at a conference in the Gold Coast, something I love doing. And afterwards, I always open myself up for questions and the opportunity to connect with people and help them where we can. And we had the absolute pleasure of meeting a beautiful young lady who was at that point of frustration that I see so many people at. She told me about why she's passionate about her business, why she does it, all the reasons why she wants to grow it. All were very valid, very important, and she had me sold. But she told me that she's doing everything she thinks she's supposed to be doing on social media. She's ticking all of the technical boxes. She's even taking inspiration from some of the top leaders out there. And yet, for some reason, none of her stuff is hitting the mark. She's not reaching people on social media. They're not engaging. And she feels like she is banging her head against a wall, spending her time, which has been completely wasted, posting to social media and having nothing happen. So she was at that point where she's like, I just give up. I can't be bothered. This is not working for me. That in itself is frustrating because I know we can see that a whole lot of other people out there are doing it and doing it successfully. So why and what's going on? Well, in order to understand why, we need to know what's going on behind the scenes of Facebook. When we understand what's going on behind the scenes, it makes so much sense why we need to do the things we need to do. I'm going to talk to you today about what's going on with Facebook, and specifically, I'm going to explain to you what the Facebook algorithm is, and I'm going to give you my top 3 tips to beat the Facebook algorithm and get away with it. So let's explain a bit about what's going on behind the scenes of Facebook and why this is such an issue for so many of us. So about 5 years ago, Facebook realized that it was becoming very business heavy. In fact, businesses had cottoned on to this amazing platform where they had a captive audience that they could sell and promote their products, services, and of course their business opportunities, and it was working for them. The problem was that for users, Facebook was becoming over business, over spammy. Now, Facebook didn't want to discourage businesses because it could see that this was a great opportunity for financial growth for Facebook itself. So, of course, it wanted to find a way to come to a happy medium for everyone. So, Facebook decided to adopt and bring in the Facebook algorithm, a program that operates in the background of Facebook, and it learns everything there is to learn about each and every one of you. It learns what websites you go to, what car you drive. It knows things like your household income. Scary, I know, but it does. It learns things like whether you have children, and if you have children, how old they are. It even knows things like what language you use, the tonality that you use, your demographic, your behaviors, every interest you have. It learns what posts you hover over, what videos you click on. It works out what you consume. It then uses this information to deliver you more of the stuff it knows you want to see, with the intention of keeping you on the platform for longer and more frequently. Now, as a business, this is a problem because naturally we want to talk about our products, our services, our business opportunities, and we want to sell them. We want new customers. We want people to buy our products. And so we're happily out there promoting our product, service, and business opportunity, and nothing's happening. Why? Because Facebook simply isn't delivering that information to the end user. And it's not delivering it because it knows it doesn't fit within the interest that that person has. Facebook is so determined to deliver you amazing stuff that your Facebook feed is customized to you like a fingerprint. So to put it really simply, your Facebook feed, when you go to it, is customized for you and you alone, and there are no two the same. It's designed that way so that when you go to Facebook, you are seeing all of the stuff that you are most likely to want to see. Now, interestingly, when we understand this, we can actually trick Facebook into delivering us stuff just to see if we can change the algorithm. We've set it up before where we've actually gone into posts and we've hit on things that we're not interested in just to see if we'll start seeing more of it. And it definitely works. So if you want to test this algorithm and you want to see if it's really true, try reprogramming it by clicking on things you wouldn't normally click on. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But back to business and how it is that we can get around this. Because naturally, we've all got an end goal when we're growing our direct selling businesses. We want to see new customers, new leads. We want to build our team. We want to sell our products. So how do we do that when we're working with something that's as finessed as the Facebook algorithm? And it's actually not that complicated. I'm going to give you now 3 top tips that are going to help you to get around this algorithm. Now, we're not going to dive too deeply into these tips. I know that for some of you, you're thinking, okay, this is fine, but what do I do next? For those of you that are in our Accelerator program, we dive really deeply into each of these, and we know that there are very elaborate topics. For some of you, you're going to pick it up and you're going to run with it. But if you want to know more about how you can make these things work for you, I would love to spend a bit more time helping you figure them out. But for now, we're going to just touch on them briefly. And I'd love to have your questions and comments if you'd like to know a bit more. So the first of these tips and the first way to get around the algorithm is actually really simple and yet something many of us completely ignore. And that is to know exactly who it is that you're reaching. The thing is that Facebook knows everything there is to know about every user it has. So you also need to know as much as you possibly can about your end user. Why do you need to know about them? Because it makes it easier for you to deliver the stuff that you know Facebook's going to give them. And we're going to talk about that next. But let's just talk about what you need to know about them first. People know this as your ideal customer or your avatar. And a lot of people completely overlook this step when they go setting up their business marketing strategy. But I really want you to stop and think, how can I do this and do it well? The thing is that your ideal customer is sitting there waiting for you to deliver them content that they're going to love. And you're perfectly capable of doing that without putting much thought or effort into it. The reason you're struggling is because you're spending so much time reaching all the wrong people. So let's talk about what you need to know. You need to know, first of all, what gender you're reaching. That's really important because males and females speak in different ways. They do have different values, but even if those values are similar, you'll find that with a male, they're going to have a very different language to a female. So you need to know who you're reaching because, again, what you put out there on social media is going to be determined by that. You also need to know things like what their family life looks like. If they've got kids, and if they do, how old are they? Remember that different ages of children present different challenges in life. I know we've got a family of 4 kids and our youngest is 7, our oldest is 13, and the challenges we face from the youngest through to the eldest are completely different. So if you want to tap into my interests and what's going on for me, then you need to know what's going on in my life. And if you can deliver me stuff that's going to either tap into my joys or tap into my challenges, then you've got me. Absolutely. You also need to know things like what their interests are. What other Facebook pages do they look at? What TV shows do they watch, if any? What books do they read? What magazines do they pick up? What does their lifestyle look like? Also think about what their employment life is like. Remembering that in the direct selling industry, for many of us, we're looking for business builders. So naturally, it's important that we know what their business life is like. Are they someone who's employed and they want to get out of the rat race? Are they someone who owns a business and they're overstressed and over it? What does their employment life look like? Are they a stay-at-home parent and they want to get their career back? They want to get a little bit of that sense of independence back. When you know this information, again, the next steps become so much easier. So take the time to sit down and have a little bit of a look at that. We've actually got a cheat sheet to help you with this process, our avatar worksheet. If you'd like this, we would love to get it out to you and we'll include it with this podcast. The next tip here when it comes to getting around that algorithm is that you need to know, once you've identified your target customer, you need to know what makes them tick. What do I mean by what makes them tick? I mean 2 things. There are 2 questions you need to be able to answer about that person. And these are the 2 most important things you could know about your target customer that will then dictate absolutely everything that you ever put out there on social media. Every post, every piece of content, every cover image you create should come back to answering these 2 questions. The first of those questions is, what keeps them up at night? meaning what stresses them out in life. What problems do they want to solve? What frustrates them and upsets them? What annoys them? What are the things in life that just get their goat? When you know what their problems are, then you know what keeps them up at night. The next question you want to be able to answer is what gets them up in the morning, meaning what are their values? What gets them excited? What do they love in life? What just gets their blood pumping and makes their soul tick? What do they do on weekends? What do they want to do when they retire? What do they do when they go on holiday? What gets them up in the morning? When you know the answer to these two questions, you're able to attribute everything you ever put out there in any marketing activity, but particularly in social media, to either improve their life or reduce their pain, to provide them value or solve a problem. As long as you know the answer to these two questions, the things that you put out on social media become really simple, because you can simply tap into how can I solve one of those two things? How can I either tap into the things they love or solve a problem or be empathetic towards something that they don't love? The last tip I want to give you is a summary essentially of the first two things that I've just spoken about. It's a bit of a no-brainer, but again, it's something that we often don't think about. And that is, how can you provide them value? So how can you provide your ideal target customer value? Meaning that when you put things out on social media, how can you think first and foremost about them? How can you give them something? Don't make it about what you're selling, the business opportunity you have, your products, your services. Think about, how can I provide my customer value? How can I serve them things that they want to see? Remembering that when you provide them value, they feel looked after, they feel valued, and naturally they're going to gravitate towards you. You will naturally attract more of the right people if you are delivering value to your core customers. The thing you've got to remember is, no matter what company you work with, no matter what product you sell, your customers on social media aren't buying the product and they're not buying the company. They're buying you. You are the most important, most valuable marketing asset you have. And when you understand that and you start delivering yourself, you are naturally going to grow that amazing business of yours. So just remember the 3 top things to get around that algorithm. Number 1, know who it is that you're talking to and know as much about them as you possibly can, even their age. Narrow it down as much as you can. Number 2, know what makes them tick. What keeps them up at night? What gets them up in the morning? And lastly, provide them value. When you get these things right, I can promise you social media will be a breeze and you will absolutely see things skyrocket. I've seen it again and again and again. And guess what? It's really easy because no one knows how to be you better than you. So if you can display yourself out on social media by providing your customers value, doing the things that you're passionate about, I can promise you everything else will come into line. So if you want to know more about any of these topics, we would love to talk to you about our Accelerator membership, where we dive in deep and we identify our target customers, we get to know how to provide them value, and we really nut out these processes. But if not, we'd also love to give you our free download on identifying your target avatar. In the meantime, I want you to have an amazing day. I hope that this episode has been helpful for you. Just remember, social media doesn't have to be complicated, but don't copy what other people are doing. It's really, really important that you get to know who you're reaching and you be yourself. I'm going to give you permission to do that today. In the meantime, have an amazing day and we look forward to seeing you again next time. See you guys. Bye.